The concept of the higher self has been known throughout the ages, but with different names and forms. We can say that the higher self is our future self that plays the role of the director in the movie of our lives. Each of us consists of a higher self and a lower self. The lower self is the part defined by time, living in the material incarnation to learn and grow. The higher self, however, is your complete or multidimensional self, which has completed its spiritual journey and exists beyond time and space. You are a part of your higher self, and your higher self is a part of the source. But the higher self does not perceive itself as separate from the source. The source, the higher self, and the spirit are all one, but at different stages. The spirit is you in the present moment, in the material reality, living different lives to learn and grow through life's stimuli. The higher self, however, is infinite and unrestricted by time and space. It encompasses all experiences in all lives and dimensions. The source, in turn, is the eternal divine consciousness. When we describe the higher self as the future self, it gives the impression that there is a past, present, and future. However, the concept of time does not truly exist in the higher dimensions. This term only applies in the third dimension because it is governed by time and space. The higher self projects a part of its consciousness, called the spirit, into the material dimension and veils the memory of itself. This happens in the same way as when you are asleep and project a part of your consciousness into the dream world. The self in the dream is a part of your consciousness, just as you are a part of the consciousness of the higher self. You would not have the ability to dream if you took all aspects of your memory into your dreams. The purpose of dreams is to show you aspects of yourself because they are projections of your mind. Therefore, you can learn more about yourself through your dreams. Every life we live is like a dream to the higher self. No matter how long the dream is, when you wake up, it feels like mere seconds. Or if you don't remember the dream, it's as if you slept and woke up in the same instant. This is the true meaning of eternity. Eternity does not mean infinite time, it means the absence of time. If you notice, when you're dreaming, everything seems real. But even if you have a nightmare, you forget it just a few hours after waking up. That's why some souls choose difficult and painful lives to speed up their evolutionary journey. From the perspective of the higher self, it's just a disturbing dream. The higher self endures this temporary suffering to gain information and extract data. This is how consciousness evolves in the third dimension. The density of the third dimension, where we currently are, is the most challenging. It is part of our evolutionary journey, where we must awaken to our eternal nature by shedding the mask of the ego. Keep in mind that the ego served us in our evolutionary journey, much like the cocoon serves the butterfly. The cocoon's role was to protect the butterfly during its transformation process. However, the butterfly grows until the cocoon becomes too small for it and begins to suffocate it. So the butterfly starts to break free from the cocoon to liberate itself. Similarly, the ego, which was initially helping us survive, becomes the source of our suffering until we have the desire to free ourselves from it. The ego pushes us toward spiritual awakening, which is why suffering is often considered the greatest teacher of enlightenment. The ultimate goal of consciousness in the third density is enlightenment, which means the manifestation of the higher self in the material form. The higher self is the highest source of wisdom you can reach. Throughout your journey, your higher self communicates with you through emotions, intuition, and inspirations. The only way to know that you are aligned with the thoughts of your higher self is by feeling inner peace and a sense of bliss, regardless of what is happening in your life. Whether you realize it or not, your higher self is always guiding you and providing everything you need, although it may not be in the form you expect or imagine. The question that may arise when you learn that the higher self is the director of your life story on earth is, does this mean that we do not have free will? The answer is that we do indeed have free will. When we say that the higher self is the director of our life story, it means there is a specific intention to experience certain lessons and challenges. You have free will in your reactions, choices, and how you respond to these lessons. From these experiences, the lessons of free will that you gain are fed back into the higher self. The higher self is a multidimensional consciousness on a journey to explore the infinite nature of reality. It gathers all the experiences and lessons the spirit has acquired through its evolution. The term multidimensional being is one that we hear frequently these days, and it is an accurate description of the higher self. In every era, our understanding of things changes, and thus new terms arise to reflect this understanding. This term means that the higher self experiences lessons not through a single spirit, but through different streams of spirit. These streams enter into various experiences in this dimension and other dimensions at the same time. Your higher self exists beyond time and space and projects parts of itself simultaneously into every life you have lived. In this way, it can obtain the information needed to guide and direct you according to all past and future lives. A common goal in the spiritual community is to embody our higher self by expanding our bandwidth on all levels physically, mentally, and spiritually so that we can receive more of the essence of our higher self. When you embody your higher self, you activate spiritual abilities because you can access higher consciousness and anchor it in this reality. To illustrate this concept, imagine a radio station where each station has a specific frequency and plays one type of music. What has happened is that the human mind has been trapped in the belief that we are just limited humans operating at a single frequency. But once a person begins to awaken, they start developing a channel of communication with the higher self, and their higher self begins to send them resources and brings in more stations or frequencies to allow them to fully develop. This may manifest as the activation of spiritual abilities, increased intelligence, and a greater ability to integrate knowledge and communicate with spiritual guides who are considered a higher aspect of ourselves. For example, a person may suddenly find themselves speaking the language of light, which consists of different codes and higher frequencies rather than mere words. When we embody our higher self, our consciousness evolves, and we naturally begin to activate different parts of our awareness. Thus, embodying the higher self means becoming a multidimensional being who carries various frequencies and much information. It might seem strange when you start bringing in new frequencies after being trapped in one frequency for so long, and you realize that there are other extensions of consciousness and that you are not confined to a single version of reality. The higher you reach in frequency, the more you anchor more models and possibilities for reality that carry more information and knowledge. Now let's talk about how to connect with and embody the higher self. The first and most important step is the process of healing and cleansing. Achieving emotional balance and getting rid of negative emotions is essential for spiritual growth. Your body needs to clear out all dense energies and unwanted things. The cleansing process is like cleaning up to make room and provide space for your body to receive more light. The second step is to be fully present in the current moment, without being distracted by the pains of the past or worries about the future. This can be achieved through practices like meditation with deep breathing and focusing on the 5 senses. This is what Eckhart Tolle discusses in his book, The Power of Now. He is one of the prominent figures in the modern spiritual community who talks about his experience with spiritual awakening and how to connect with the higher self through full presence in the present moment. The third step is practicing gratitude, which is one of the most powerful practices to break free from a negative mindset. As soon as you feel your mind going into a negative loop of thoughts, all you need to do is stop the thought process immediately and redirect it towards something you feel grateful for, no matter how simple. In the end, we must understand that in the third dimension, we represent something far greater than ourselves that cannot be fully described or confined to something small like the individual ego. The higher self is the supreme part of the human being that transcends the ego. It is the essence of the spirit connected to the universe. The more our consciousness expands, the more we naturally align our will with the will of our higher self. Ultimately, we begin to merge the lower self with the higher self. Remember that your journey is unique, and your connection to your higher self is always present, guiding you towards growth and enlightenment. Embrace the process with patience and curiosity, knowing that every experience is a step closer to awakening your true potential. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of the higher self. If you enjoyed this content, please like, subscribe, and share it with others who are on their own paths to spiritual discovery. Sweet dreams and stay awake.